So for those who aren't familiar, this is the artist Lorraine O'Grady. Lorraine just died a few days ago at the age of 90 years old. And Lorraine is one of my personal favorite artists. She has so greatly inspired my writing, my work, and just expanded my idea of what it means to be a woman, and especially a Black woman in the art world. And I thought it would be a great opportunity to honor her legacy and look at one of my favorite performances of hers. So starting in the year 1980, Lorraine O'Grady created this persona known as Mademoiselle Bourgeois Noire. This character was created under the futurist principle that art has the power to change the world, which is a principle I hold very dear and very much believe in. So Lorraine O'Grady had two public performances as Mademoiselle Bourgeois Noire. One was at JAM, or just above Midtown, which was a Black-owned avant-garde gallery space owned by Linda Good Bryant. And the second performance, which is photographed here and in the other photos I'm going to use, she did this performance at the opening of the new museum on Bowery in Lower Manhattan. And those performances took place in 1981. So as you can see here, O'Grady is wearing a tiara, a sash with the persona's name across. She's wearing a white gown and cape that are made of 180 white gloves that she got from different thrift shops across Manhattan. And O'Grady talked about the symbolism of the white gloves as being a sign of the kind of delicate white gloves that Black artists are forced to use when they're making art for a predominantly white market, especially back in the 80s. It's also, I believe, a call to a lot of the pomp and pageantry of Black bourgeoisie culture in the United States. Lorraine O'Grady is the child, or was the child, of Jamaican immigrants and grew up in a bourgeoisie upper middle class environment, was a part of the intelligentsia, was incredibly well educated. And so the history of groups like Jack and Jill, Lynx Cotillion, Divine Nine frats and sororities. For example, a Lynx Cotillion, where a girl gets dressed up in a white gown and she has another partner who is supposed to be her dance partner for the evening, dressed in a tux, wearing white gloves, and guiding her throughout the night. If you're a part of Black bourgeoisie culture, that's a very familiar image to you. And this idea of the whitewashing of Blackness, the trying to have proximity to whiteness to be accepted in the white world, is incredibly prevalent here. And so she's definitely making a political statement, not only about the way that Black people in the art world are made to feel sanitized and their work is sanitized, but I feel it's also meant to be a commentary on the way that Black people, when we begin to achieve social mobility, there's a certain respectability politics that we're expected to conform to, and that conformity is, in a way, a rejection or watering down of our Blackness. We're not allowed to be angry. There's a certain way that we're supposed to dress, speak, etc., and so forth, and that can be a prison in and of itself. As you can see here in this photo, she's carrying a white cat o' nine tails of sea rope that she got from a sailing shop that is studded with white chrysanthemums, and she's walking around the party passing out the white chrysanthemums to the guests at the opening of the new museum. Once all the white chrysanthemums had been passed out to the guests at the party, the rope was really fashioned into a whip, and she called it the whip that made the plantations move, obviously in reference to chattel slavery, which is the foundation not only of the wealth here in the United States, but of the wealth established throughout the Caribbean and throughout the Western world. So she would begin to whip herself with this rope and give herself 100 lashes while she would recite poetry in the event, obviously catching a lot of attention from the guests at the party. Lorraine's performance to me is an incredibly layered and emboldened call to action for not only for members of the predominantly white mainstream art world to begin to recognize and include more Black artists in their collections, etc., and so forth, but also to Black artists who were already a part of the art world or who were aspiring to be a part of the art world and to sell their work in a more commercial way, whitewashing themselves, sanitizing their work, and being made to feel that they had to conform to this certain kind of respectability politics in order for them to sell certain work and to be accepted by the mainstream art world, especially back in the 80s. What I love so much about Lorraine O'Grady's work and about her as an artist is that she was never afraid to use different artistic mediums to talk about subjects of identity, right? Not just race, but how race, gender, and class intersect. That futurist principle that Lorraine O'Grady lived by and worked by, that art has the power to change the world. Art has the power to transgress and to compel us to think differently about things that we have accepted as normal, that we should know that they're not normal, right? Racism is not normal. Misogyny is not normal. Classism is not normal. So if we can use art to comment on that and to make our artwork more approachable to people who are maybe have no awareness of the art world, but are very much aware of these dynamics that affect all of us, then we can change the world and make the world a better place and hopefully dismantle these systems that are oppressing all of us. I really would recommend that you look into her work and her portfolio. I mean, it's incredible work. I'm very sad that she's gone, but she has given us 90 years worth of material that will live on for eternity. And so I hope that you engage with her work and that we honor her legacy by talking more about it and sharing it with others.